Hi everyone, how you doing? Beck here from Beck D Transformation. So I labeled today's live PTSD. Are we in a global state of PTSD? Similar to my grief process last week, I have been tuning in and really sensing a lot of PTSD around. So the actual definition or the summary of PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is a mental health condition that develops in people who have experienced or witnessed a traumatic event. The traumatic event may be life-threatening, such as combat, a natural disaster, a car accident, or sexual assault. But sometimes it's not necessarily a dangerous one. Symptoms of PTSD include nightmares, flashbacks, feelings of isolation, irritability, guilt, difficulty sleeping, and difficulty concentrating. PTSD can have a significant impact on a person's day-to-day life and may affect their mental, physical, social, and/or spiritual well-being. It is normal to feel afraid during and after a traumatic situation, and most people start to feel better after a few weeks. However, if the symptoms last more than a few months, it may be PTSD. Effective treatments. No, it's not going to open for me. So I wanted to share that and give you the official definition. And I was led to actually speak to this because I'm seeing it a lot in the population and in people I'm treating. And I had a beautiful young group of people for breathwork last night, and they're all reporting very similar symptoms, which is what prompted me. I was really being urged to speak on this. Are we all suffering PTSD? If you look at the symptoms and the cause, the related causes, were we all isolated for a long time? Did we all suffer a global traumatic event? Were we told things that made us afraid? And what if we haven't quite recovered because the world has become so unpredictable and there's chaos all around us continuously vying for our attention? And what if the frequencies that we're being subjected to actually keep our nervous system unregulated, out of order? So I was called to speak to this, to really bring this to the light and give it a voice, really give it a voice for a population at large that are suffering symptoms similar to what I just read out. And if you've tuned in late, just go back and have a look. I'm just doing these lives hoping that it's a contribution on some level to some people, and some people respond later. The regulars respond later. I'm grateful for that. So those symptoms of feeling isolated, feeling afraid, anxious, not knowing which way is up, are all, you're not imagining it. It is real. And for me, breathwork, meditation, access bars has been the foundation that has helped me through many situations where I have really struggled. Somebody's watching, hi! So yeah, it's all about regulating the nervous system, and the breath is the best way to do that. And meditation's a great way because it slows down the brain waves, brings us from that high beta state of thinking, anxiety, problem solving, into the lower brain waves of alpha. And then if you're really good, you'll go into theta. And then if you're really a strong meditator, an experienced meditator, you can go into that beautiful, really relaxed theta state, delta state, and then gamma, which is your high connection, which is where the downloads come, which is where the experiences of connecting with the divine, going into the oneness, where there's just peace, there's just bliss, and so nurturing for the soul. It just brings us into the truth of who we really are, without all of the external, what is it? The external influences, that's a good word. The external influences. So when we can center on who we really are, which is peace, which is bliss, which is safety, which is security, which is love, which is joy, when we can center on that on a regular basis, we can navigate all the other frequencies, all the other energies. And that's why things like breath work and meditation groups are working so well here in this sanctuary. And it's giving people, somebody mentioned they're addicted yesterday. They're addicted to feeling at peace. I don't know of any better addiction than that. Basically, with this PTSD, it's important to acknowledge it, acknowledge the symptoms, and also process it. So there are, to the best of my knowledge, in the years and years of mental health that I worked in, there were no nervous system regulation ways of handling it. Most of it was pharmaceutical, was talking about it, and talking about it, which of course then drives it further into the nervous system, makes it really every time, and people have to relive it every time. And so for me, the access bars bypasses all that and releases the trauma and the energy of it. So hello. So we basically have to be able to process this energy that's shifting and moving through our bodies. And if we can't process it, it gets blocked. And that's when we layer up and we layer up and we layer up. And what happens? Hi, Nikki, how you going? Have a beautiful day. There's been sun in my world. Hope there is in yours. I don't know where you are at this present time. And I went for a beautiful long walk this morning, which was really refreshing, and I got my vitamin D, which I've been longing for because it's been a bit overcast and drizzly and rainy and miserable. It was good to get a good dose of vitamin D this morning. So yeah, going back to PTSD. So processing PTSD, I've been sitting with the energy of it, and I feel like I've been called to actually process it for the collective and to allow that frequency to shift and change in my own body, for me to acknowledge it, for me to feel it, and so that I can become the bigger space, so that I can, when I'm with someone who's in that suffering of PTSD, I can actually feel it, acknowledge it, and assist their body to process it as well, as a body worker, as an energy worker, as an energy medicine specialist or Reiki practitioner. So it's been on my heart, and it's been developing, and I've been called to talk to it. So from the mental health aspect, it's like the situation, the traumatic event is reoccurring continuously, and so the person never comes out of that fight and flight kind of response, that sympathetic nervous response. And so the triggers are constantly there, and anything that triggers, as if they're back in that traumatic event, and it keeps them in a heightened state of fear, heightened state of anxiety, a heightened state of feeling like everything's out of control, everything's pressing in, everything's a state of overwhelm, kind of a state of continuous overwhelm on the nervous system. And as I read out, and I will again because some people have joined me, some of the symptoms are feeling afraid during and after, having flashbacks including nightmares, feelings of isolation, irritability, guilt, difficulty sleeping and concentrating. So if you're suffering any of these symptoms, I would recommend you get some help. I would recommend that you try some breathing techniques, try some meditation techniques, try some energy work to try and shift this energy out of your body. Come and see a therapist like myself or someone in your area. Try and get someone by word of mouth so you know that they're, going to hold that sacred space for you and hear you and allow you to process your own thoughts, your own feelings and your own emotions. So and be able to hold that space so that you can help to shift this energy that's sitting in your body, in your nervous system. And breath work is something we can do on our own. Meditation is something we can do on our own. Obviously in a group it's more powerful because we're energies coming together with intention. If you can get to a group, it's great. We run them here every Thursday. And what I'm finding holding the space here is that people are finding it that the transition and the calmness and the peace that comes actually lasts them a couple of days. Somebody came for the very first time 2 weeks ago, returned again yesterday, and she said it lasted for a couple of days and she just felt so positive. It's because she had shifted several layers of energy sitting in her body that were trapped. And so she was back for a top-up because she was able to compare going back into the negative thinking, the negative feelings, the fear, the anxiety to what she had felt after breath work. And she was able to see that it really did have an effect. And of course, all of this work has a cumulative effect. So the more of it you do, the closer you get to your real self, the closer you get to your bliss, your joy, your peace, your calm, your insights, psychic connection, your connection to your higher self, your connection to the divine, connection to your creator. And so the more of this work we do, and that's what's beneficial about it, is that we want that connection. We want to be able to bring in that connection in the moment that we're having a stress reaction, in the moment that we're realizing, and of course we need the awareness to realize, oh my goodness, my sympathetic nervous system has taken over. I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling afraid. I just need to breathe. And so going into that beautiful cyclical breath of just taking deep breaths. Of course it's going to oxygenate you more because most of us are shallow breathers anyway. So when we take a deep breath, physiologically we're getting more oxygen, psychologically and energetically and on our nervous system, we're slowing down the breath, we're slowing down the brain waves, and we're bringing ourselves in more connection to our parasympathetic nervous system. So that's what we want to do. We want to regulate our nervous system. And then, in a traumatic event, you'll have the response, but you'll have the awareness to actually bring yourself back and be able to have the tools and the skill set to bring yourself back through your breath, through your calming of your nervous system, and switch into your parasympathetic nervous system. Another great thing is to just hop in and have a cold shower. The cold shower turns on the vagus nerve system and it starts to bring you into that parasympathetic nervous system. Of course, it's a shock. I struggle with it myself. It's a bit of a shock to just, be in the cold all of a sudden. I've done the cold pools. I haven't done an ice bath yet. I hear they're amazing for the parasympathetic nervous system. I just don't know if I can cope with that. I've been in the cold pool and my body literally ached, and I had to use all my mental capacity to stay in there. So there are a couple of little physical things you can do, but on the personal level, breathing is freely available. So cyclical breath, nice deep breaths in and out, and you just breathe 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 and you just breathe. And if you want to follow Joe Dispenza's example, you breathe and you get to a certain place and you hold that breath and you squeeze it up and you squeeze it up and you squeeze it up and you fill your lungs and you fill your lungs and you fill your lungs until you just can't fill anymore, and then you just hold and you sit and you hold for as long as you possibly can, and then you let it out. And it resets your nervous system. So I just wanted to share those things with you. I felt like I was really being called to call out this PTSD that the collective seems to be experiencing, and I've been highly aware of it. And this week in particular, I've been really pressed upon to speak to this through the live today. So I hope that it's brought you some revelation, some recognition of what you yourself might be going through, what you as a worker, as a body worker, as a therapist, an alternative therapist, might be holding space for that you didn't realize you were holding space for. Maybe you're feeling it for others that you're working with and not realizing it's not yours. Perhaps it is yours, perhaps there's a component. I think we're a collective, so I feel like we always hold a component of what the bodies on our tables are holding anyway. And our duty, our responsibility is to process it within ourselves and then become the bigger space to help others process it also, to supply the tools, to supply the knowledge, and to help people just really navigate all of the frequencies, all of the bombardment that's happening currently, all of the negative messages, and to find their inner guidance system, their peace, their calm, their connection to the divine, connection to the Creator. So I hope it's been a contribution. And beautiful Nikki, I know you work with a lot of people, so I hope it's given you a couple of tools that you could introduce if you're not already using them. And yeah, just really empower people and just hold that beautiful space that I know you hold. Wishing you all just a beautiful day, and I hope that this has helped in some way. And if it really resonates with you, could you do me a favor and give it a thumbs up, or give it a little love heart or a little Care Bear, and just help the algorithms so other people get to see it also, so that they can learn some of these simple little tools that we can all use. And when we become the space of peace and calm, we become the invitation. Thank you, beautiful. Thank you so much. We become the invitation then for others to find their peace and calm also, their center also. And we empower them by empowering ourselves first. It always starts with self first. So look after yourself today, sending lots of love your way, and may you be blessed to hold the space for someone dear and near to you. And may you be empowered with these simple little tools to navigate whatever you're navigating right now in this moment, in this now moment. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now from Beck, from Beck T Transformation. Bye.